Okay, we're good to start. Okay, great. We are at quorum and right on time. So I'm gonna kick us off. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the August meeting of the Pedestrian Transit Advisory Committee. We have Barbara fearlessly taking minutes tonight.
So speak slowly and loudly, please.
We will start with our member roll call. Ted Alexander will not be here tonight. Ginny Alverson, I see online. Caroline Bodiger, I do not see online. Meredith Brown, I also don't see. Laura Evans. Christopher Berry.
Here.
Preston Gutelius.
Here.
Satoka Harai. Here. Brenda Marvin. Steve Mulder.
Here.
Barbara Myers.
Here.
Bianca Narkunis is not here. Vitor Pamplona.
Here.
Zach Rosenberg. Not here. Alessandra Snyder. Myself, I am here. Rob Stanzel. Do not see. Carol Vigaris, I don't see. Mackenzie Webb.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay, great. Your first meeting, getting to say that you're a member.
I know, and unfortunately, I'm virtual. Wish I could be there with you all, but I'm away, so have to call in.
All good. And our ex officio members, Willem Baugh, who's not here, Justin Schreiber,
Here.
and Kate White.
Here.
Great. I would love our guests to introduce themselves. I think we just have guests in person tonight. I know Kenzie, but do you want to say hi?
Yes, hi everyone, I'm Kenzie. I am the Director of Climate Resilience and Community Engagement at Groundwork Somerville. Two of our green team members will be here shortly and will present to you all a little bit later.
Thanks for being here.
Happy to be here, thanks for the invite.
Yeah. And would you like to say hi?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Christopher Morris. I'm reporting on the meeting for the Somerville Times.
Oh, great.
I'm also a student at Emerson.
Welcome. Alrighty. We will move on to, actually I have a few announcements. So one is just a reminder to please sign up for the acting secretary role if you have not, following the link that Brenda sent out a few meetings ago. Reminder that that is a requirement of membership, so just please sign up. And then also we are going to start a little bit of like a member renewal process in the next few months. We're going to be checking in with members who I think have attended fewer than 50% of meetings over the past year, just to like see if they're still enthusiastic about being on the committee. And then based on that outreach, we will work with Mobility to identify how to move forward with additional membership if possible. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. On to subcommittee updates. Community events met last Monday. We finalized the Units for Walk Audit letter that we were going to go over tonight. And we discussed some next steps for that letter that we plan to bring to you all in the coming months. And we also planned for our fall events. We have 3 events coming up that thank you to everybody who has already volunteered. But if you have not, just a reminder, we're going to be tabling at the Gilman Square Arts and Music Festival on September 13th, at the Union Square Farmers Market with the Bike Committee on October 4th, and at Summer Street's Monster Mash on October 19th. And I think, Barbara, you have an email with those, so if you wish to put those in the minutes later, that is fine. And then I don't think design review met, right? Okay. But they are planning to, once we get to the updated designs for Western Pearl, which should be in October, I think you said, Kate? Any other updates or announcements from our committee members? Okay, beautiful. Then our first substantive agenda item is a discussion and hopefully vote, unless people hate it, on our Union Square Walk Audit letter. This is a long time coming because we held our community walk, or we held our walk audit in Union Square way back in April 2025, but the process of putting this letter together has been, I think, very deliberate and collaborative, as our walk audit was. We hosted it in collaboration with the Somerville Alliance for Safe Streets, the Somerville Commission for Persons with Disabilities, Groundwork Somerville Green Team, of course, and Union Square Main Streets, and they all contributed to the letter. The Green Team very much so. They put together, they collected a bunch of data in the walk audit area on like, what was it? Heat index, what were the other ones?
Didn't matter.
Yes. So we were able to incorporate those maps and that data into the letter, and I think really enhanced our advocacy in it. So that's why it's been such a long time coming to finally review this letter. But I will present it to all of you right now. I apologize that it is so very long, but okay, can you allow me to share?
Absolutely. Let's give it one moment. I'm sorry, everyone, my mouse is having, you should be able to use co-host, is it not letting you?
Well, it is, but you're sharing right now.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm so sorry, I'm just
That's
having
okay.
mouse issues, there we go. Again. Stop sharing now.
Thank you. Okay. So I'm not gonna like go into super detail about all of it because I did send this out before the meeting, but just kind of to summarize, we kind of divided this letter into different areas of Union Square. So we have this little map where we divided the square into 7 key areas, and that is how we like structured our recommendations of the letter. So segment 1 is Prospect Street in front of the T station. Segment 2 is the intersection of Prospect Street and Somerville Ave. Segment 3 is on Somerville Ave in front of the main plaza in Union Square. Segment 4 is the Bow Street slip lane. Segment 5 is the Warren Ave and Bow Street intersection. Segment 6 is all of Bow Street past Warren Ave. And segment 7 is Webster Ave from Washington Street to Prospect Street. But we started by explaining the methodology, which I will not get into. But essentially we scored each area of the walk audit and ranked them based on comfort and the ways that our walk audit participants experienced the different segments. So in terms of, I have a table in terms of their scores. So this table summarizes the scores of each intersection and area from lowest to highest. So the intersection that people disliked the most was the intersection of Webster Ave and Prospect Street. That big, loud, noisy, like X-shaped intersection kind of at the entrance to Union Square. And we can dig into kind of each of these. The next least favorite intersection was, or area I should say, was Prospect Street in front of the Green Line Station elevator, followed by Prospect Street at Bennett Court, which is kind of between the Somerville Ave intersection of Prospect Street and the T station, followed by Bow Street at Wesley Park, which is, Wesley Park is that like little kind of triangular park over on Bow Street, like before you get onto Summer Street. Then we have the Bow Street slip lane, followed by the Somerville Ave, the 87 bus stop. I mean, it's multiple bus stops, not just the 87, but I know it is the 87 bus stop in front of the main plaza. And then the intersection of Somerville Ave and Prospect Street. And finally, Webster Ave and Washington Street was folks' favorite intersection, right in front of Gracie's. So we can dig into a little bit more of that, but just to summarize some high-level feedback, kind of across the entire square, the lowest rated qualities across all 8 intersections were just general comfort, people not feeling comfortable at the intersections, the time that people walking had to cross the intersection comfortably, obstacles that they found on the sidewalk, like poles or utility boxes or posts, availability of public art, sidewalk condition, general safety, driver compliance, and the availability of clean space. In terms of environmental qualities, the green team found that some key areas in the walk audit area were significantly hotter than the ambient temperature on the evening of the walk audit. It was like 70 degrees and windy that night, but the heat index averaged about 8 to 11 degrees hotter, which is a good indication that there should be some more green space and less asphalt in the area. It was not too noisy in the square, it wasn't too poor air quality in the square. The only area where there was poor air quality was where a bus had been idling, but that also might be affected by the wind that evening, and then noise levels were moderate to loud. Nothing got into like dangerously loud territory, but that level of noise for a prolonged period of time can be stressful to people. Accessibility concerns from our Commission for Persons with Disabilities. Folks had a fair amount of feedback on the tactile markings, especially their directionality, because they weren't necessarily facing the other side of the intersection in a helpful way. There was also a broad concern around raised crossings, which, if they don't have like tactile markings on the side of the crossings, mean that people with visual impairments could risk tripping and falling on the side of the crossings. And then our friends from the Somerville Green team, our teen participants, they just offered the general feedback that the square doesn't really feel very inviting as a place that they want to spend time in. They feel like seating is kind of loud and uncomfortable and really close to fast moving cars, but also there's like very little to do in the square that doesn't require spending money. So it feels a little exclusionary for them to be there. So just in terms of high-level recommendations, want to continue to add infrastructure that prioritizes walking and transit users, more green space and trees, ensuring that all street reconstruction is ADA compliant, offering a robust variety of seating options, both secluded and personal, so you can have kind of a more private interaction with someone, but also wide and open, as we have a fair amount of right now in the square. And then also work with MBTA to introduce electric buses on the routes in Union Square, because those are quieter and more climate friendly, obviously. I don't want to get into like a huge amount of, and these are the great maps from our green team members. So you can see where it's hotter in the square versus cooler. You can see where it is pretty good air quality along the entire route. Some yellow in there along Webster Ave and Somerville Ave. And then noise level fairly loud along Prospect Street and kind of around Bow Street, Washington Street. I'm just gonna kind of give the key recommendations for each area, and then we can discuss. So this first key area is on Prospect Street between the Green Line Station elevator and Somerville Ave. Our key recommendations for this area are to create a mid-block crossing across Prospect Street, which we've been advocating for many years at this point. So these are short-term recommendations. Sorry, each kind of key area is divided into short-term recommendations and long-term recommendations. So for short-term, create a temporary mid-block crossing, as well as replace the tactile pads at Bennett Street with wider tactile pads. Add a wayfinding sign on the west side of Prospect Street, so opposite the Green Line Station elevator. Ted mocked up a very nice idea of what this could look like, so that people coming out of the elevator are less disoriented when they come into the square. And then add more planters, tables and seating, and temporary art. In terms of long-term recommendations, to work into the Union Square Plaza and Streetscapes plan, whenever it gets going again. Would love to put the utilities on Prospect Street underground because the sidewalk is already pretty narrow. Would love to have one of those wayfinding pillars that have currently been implemented in the square near the elevator. And then want to see the area next to the Greenlight Station further activated with public art installations, greenery, and tables and seating. For key area number 2, which is the intersection of Somerville Ave and Prospect Street, even though this one was the second highest rated intersection from our participants, the huge piece of feedback that we got was that it took so long to cross this intersection, especially because there is no diagonal phase or option for pedestrians to cross. So in terms of short-term recommendations, we suggest that you do implement a pedestrian-only phase that allows people to cross diagonally. If that's not possible, adding some sort of wayfinding to indicate like, hey, don't go across Somerville Ave first. Instead, maybe go across Prospect Street first because then you'll have a shorter time getting across the intersection. Also ensure that any pedestrian-only phase has enough time to cross comfortably for folks who move more slowly, because that was also a big piece of feedback that we got from participants. Would love to see transit signal priority here. We know that it's planned for this intersection, so just 1+1 on that. We also noticed that the audible crossing prompts at this intersection did not identify the street that people were crossing. They were just beeps. We'd love to have that be more detailed. And then also for the cyclists in the group, they expressed wanting to see a painted bike box at the northwest corner of the intersection so people could take a left turn from Somerville Ave onto Prospect Street. In terms of long-term recommendations, we just thought it'd be useful to like rethink how all the streets fit together, because it seems like there's just a lot happening at the intersection and could work more efficiently for people walking and taking the bus. Key area 3 is the plaza, so kind of the main plaza on Somerville Ave, right in front of everybody's favorite mid-block crossing. The short-term recommendations here were to add paint and tactile markings to the sidewalk when you're moving west coming into the square, so on Somerville Ave, because when you get into the plaza, there's like just the bus shelter and then the rest of the plaza, and it's kind of like, where do I go? Especially if I want to take the bus. So we'd love to have just a little bit more wayfinding there. Would love to see the roots of the trees in front of El Potro covered with pervious material so that people don't trip on them. Would love to see another signal activation button in the pedestrian refuge in the middle of the mid-block crossing at Somerville Ave. And then would also like to see the plaza more activated at times when the farmers market isn't there, because right now there is just a single sad broken bench. We could do better. In terms of long-term recommendations, we think it would be more helpful to move the bus shelter closer to the roadway and the protected bike lane behind it, so that it's more clear how pedestrians can move through that area and wait for the bus and not experience conflict with people biking. And then also, again, want to see the area have seating options, trees, plants, public art. Key area 4 is the Bow Street slip lane. And here we recommend, we initially were going to recommend that the city implement better signage to indicate to people where they're supposed to stop and when, but they did that. So that's great. So now we would love to see the city implement a pilot project to close that slip lane entirely, similarly to how the slip lane in Davis has been handled on Highland Ave, and also make the audible crossing prompts louder and add the street identification to them. Next area is Bow Street at Warren Ave. Here, our big recommendation is just that the mixed signals, currently there is both a mix of red, yellow, green signalization and all-way stop signs, and stop signs, not all-way right now. I think it's like it's on Somerville Ave, or on Bow Street, going west. There's a red, yellow, green signal, and then from the slip lane from the other side of Somerville Ave, it's stop signs. So we just want to see the intersection replaced with all-way stop signs to make it clearer to people, and also to minimize conflict with people having a red, yellow, green sign and feeling like they have the right of way no matter what. Key area number 6 is Bow Street between Warren Ave and Wesley Park. So again, this is up kind of by the neighborhood restaurant. Our short-term recommendations are to install tactile pads at the crossings where they're missing and to repaint the crosswalk markers, which are quite faded right now. And then just in terms of long-term thinking, we just want to make sure that the park on Wesley Park, if it's no longer accessible because of the roundabout that's planned in the Union Square Plaza and Streetscapes project, it's replaced with another green space of equal or better quality. And then our last key area is Webster Ave between Prospect Street and Washington Street. Here, our recommendations are to increase the length of the pedestrian phase at Webster Ave and Prospect Street, because I think on our walk on it took like 8 cycles for one group to cross with 18 people. So it just takes, it can take a long time, especially for folks who don't feel comfortable walking this fast. Also increase the frequency of pedestrian phase at this intersection, install no turn on red signs at the intersection, replace the tactile pads with metal ones to increase the durability. Find the 2 light cycles across Somerville Ave and Bow Street. Oh yes, yeah, there's this one crossing across Somerville Ave where the crossing, the countdown I think is like 20 seconds or something, but it does it in 2 phases. So it starts at 10 and counts down, and then starts at 10 again and counts down. So would love that to just be a single phase. And then would also love an audible crossing prompt going from Gracie's to St. Joseph's Church. Long-term recommendations for this area. There is a lot of pickup drop-off activity in front of Prospect Hill Academy right now that can be difficult to navigate as a person, I mean, driving obviously, but also biking and walking. So would love to see a designated pickup drop-off area in front of that school. Would also love to see all these sidewalks widened and reconstructed on Webster Ave because they're pretty narrow right now. Also would love to see utilities underground on this stretch, especially if we can't widen the sidewalks on Webster Ave. And then there's this like highway-like metal guardrail in the intersection of Webster. And we would love to see that replaced with some sort of pedestrian-centric separator, like a green buffer. So that is the bulk of the letter. I certainly talked for longer than I intended to, but what do folks think about these recommendations, about just Union Square in general? Is there anything missing in here? Any pet peeves that you have walking through the square that you want to see represented on here, or just thoughts in general on the work that we've been doing on the square?
Good job.
Thanks, Christopher. Yeah, Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, just I mean, congratulations, as I couldn't join for the audit, but all of my hot items are absolutely on the list, which is delightful. A question for you, which is that are the recommendations, the list of recommendations in sort of priority order, or is it really kind of like all of these, please?
That's a good question. They are currently only in the order of the areas. But are you suggesting that we have kind of like a master list of all of them in priority order, or prioritize them like within each area?
Oh, well, now your idea is even better. Like, I mean, if we think that, you know, the recipients will be overwhelmed by like, where do we start? What do you know? I think that an overall list and a list by area could be helpful, but that's potentially a lot, and opinions may differ, obviously.
I think that's a great suggestion, and I think doable.
I vote for that mid-block crossing on Prospect, having gotten off the Green Line and gone to Juliet for dinner just now and going, I don't want to walk up that hill and I don't want to walk down to that intersection, having cut across traffic.
You're saying that as like a priority?
Yeah, I would say that's high. And I was not the only one doing it either. I was like, I should be better, I should follow the rule. With 3 other people did that, I'm like, all right.
I do that too. Would anyone else like to voice priority items from this letter?
I don't know if it's helpful too, but with the Union Square Plaza and Streetscapes project, the project's kind of organized into 4 phases. So and that's all the longer term changes, but we do anticipate following those 4 phases. And the first one, I believe, is Prospect Webster. I would have to go and double check the order of the rest. for Prospect Webster intersection is phase 1 of Union Square Plaza Streetscape.
When does that plan start? Like, when is the implementation of that? Little,
We don't have a confirmed schedule yet. It's tied up in capital funding, part of the capital investment plan. Yeah.
Is there anything we can do as a quick build in these intersections?
Great question, Justin.
Potentially. I mean, I was seeing things in there that, and I mean, Main Streets was a part of this letter, but I mean, I saw some things that they might be willing to partner on.
Those the wayfinding.
Yeah, I mean, they've done other projects like that, like the wayfinding of the underpass. And I think if you guys have priorities for mobility to consider the quick builds, then yeah, we should. I think prioritizing them is definitely helpful.
And I think when you're saying quick build, are you thinking signal work too?
Frankly, I was more thinking about the street itself.
The which one?
The street itself, the intersection, or some of them. Because we could just put the flexibles in the middle of the road and paint the road to be a little bit more coordinated between cars and bikes.
Yeah. You know, we do a number of quick builds each year. We try to have a work plan where we talk about things we've heard from the community and what can we do. So, you know, I think all that's on the table to consider. And you know, there's lots of amazing suggestions here. Some things will be easier than other things. I mean, the letter's incredible. It's fantastic.
It's also just really cool to see the collaboration.
Yeah.
I mean, just this effort across so many different organizations and other communities.
Any other thoughts? Yeah.
okay. Well, I was just, a priority that I wanted to plus one on was activating that space. Is it the Union Square Plaza, the one that's next to the bus stop and like some media center that is not anymore? I think that has such potential, definitely for art, for new seating spaces. Like the Gracie's, this plaza in front of Gracie's is often pretty activated. Of course, you're at ice cream and you need to sit somewhere. But I think it can be, they have good seating there. Maybe that's a pretty good trash can, like important places to, like amenities to enjoy the location. And I think that could be a heightened place of enjoyment for youth to spend time too. I think it's also kind of bumpy there, like definitely there's a tree that has pretty significant root breakage into the area, and I walk over it frequently. I can only imagine how difficult that would be for people that have mobility differences.
I should add that if there are like maintenance issues, putting those things in 311 is super helpful, even if you think the city already knows about it. Like cracked sidewalks, or I was having dinner in the square the other day at the picnic table, and the cobblestone area is kind of close to, it's reached the end of its useful life, things like that.
And I think the broken bench that was there a couple of months ago was removed. I don't know if it's been replaced. But I remember both of the kind of glass plated had been broken and DPW were doing work there, I think 2 or so months ago.
Is there options for, no, we might have to stop. I swear I live mobility these days. That going from Webster onto Bow Street, that light gets seriously backed up. And you might go like 10 cars before it stops. I think that's a place that is also really hot too. As a cyclist, you sit there. We were just there. Remember this video? We were just there, sitting in the exhaust for many minutes, and there's not much tree coverage. So I think maybe if there's potential for some signal change, that could be also helpful for cyclists. It's like right in front of the church.
applications at peak at PM too, or kind of early PM. Or sorry, I should just say afternoon and evening.
Yeah, and because there's the school that's right there too, and so sorry guys, again, I'm like, keep going.
Please go.
A plus one on it's a small street, so like really what could you do? Maybe remove parking, I guess. But then you're like, school, it needs parking, but yeah, it's really, or parking during certain times maybe. I don't know. You all are the people that give the solutions, but lots of cars backed up there for loading or beginning of school, end of school, and I think also there's a lot of cyclists that go down that lane into the intersection, and they're it's so skinny, so you're not going on. A lot of people use sidewalks. Sidewalks are also skinny, have lots of obstructions, and are bumpy. So then it's like, what do you do? And me, as someone who leads you, like that's why we ride in the road and we like playing the whole road. That's safer for us, but then not as comfortable. And other single cyclists don't use that approach and like go in between the two lines of traffic or go on the sidewalk, which then hurts pedestrian access to. But it's a small street, so you're gonna have to figure out what to do.
Cool. Well, I'm not hearing any objections to the letter, so I think I move to or a motion to vote on this letter, to send the letter to, who do we want to send it to? We want to send it to the mayor. It's addressed to the mayor, NCC, mobility, and all the at-large city councilors, as well as JT Scott and Benjamin Camden, who represent the wards that converge in Union Square. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor of sending this letter, please say aye.
I
All opposed? Okay, great. Thanks, guys. Okay. Let us move on to our next and final agenda item, which is a presentation by Mobility and our groundwork friends. I'm really excited for them to share what they've been up to in terms of youth engagement, especially because this is, I mean, Kate, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like this is something that like cities are really trying to figure out right now, is like how to make sure that youth are involved in like the built environment of their city. So I'm just excited to learn from all of you guys.
Thank you. I have a few presentation slides before, and I also have your presentation of my computer, so if you want me to be your screen person, I'm happy to do that too. Okay. So good evening, everyone. Again, Kate White. I'm here to talk through some of the work that we've been doing, the Mobility Division has been doing. I'm just gonna, there we go. We're gonna talk primarily today about the summer workshops that we've been, the youth-focused summer workshops we've been doing this year. So I want to say a big thank you to Groundwork. Really excited. I want to kind of talk about, we're going to talk about the summer, but this work has actually been going on for, Kenzie, we've been talking about 2 years. So members of the mobility team, met with directors Kenzie Ballard and Ann Plotkin, kind of to talk through this series of workshops. We worked together in the summer of 2024 to develop a series of workshops, and kind of building upon that, we actually got to do another one in the springtime that kind of was a little bit of a, we hoped a little bit more full circle. We had done some work kind of evaluating Pearl Street, Western Pearl, the project that we're reconstructing, with members of the green team. And then in the springtime, we will bring back the same designs. And so to kind of talk through, this is what you would share with us before, did we meet some of those goals? So we kind of built upon all of that learning to think through a series for this summer. The green team goes through a lot more of the details, so I'm just gonna give a high level. Our aim was to focus on just like talking through what are our priorities for this street, learning about what design tools we can use, evaluating a street slated for reconstruction, and then developing a street redesign proposal, or street redesign proposals, I should say. So we did this together over the summer, I mentioned last year, but really building upon it this year. And I just want to share that we were really grateful that we got to do this with Groundworks, but we also paired up with 2 cohorts that are part of the mayor's summer jobs program as well. There's one called Climate Cohort, and then one that's called Racial and Social Justice Cohort. So we focus both on street design, but also a little bit on community engagement planning. How do you talk to people in these projects, which is also fun to kind of think through ideas. We just want to particularly name, like, one of our main goals is to expand youth voice in transportation planning efforts. Alessandra kind of alluded to this. There is a very large gap, right? We do these processes and then we recognize that there's just a huge amount of people who are not included in our planning efforts, both in the city of Somerville, right? But if you go to kind of planning meetings in Boston and Cambridge, you'll see similar things. So our hope was to find ways that not only do we expand youth voice in our work, but also what are ways that work well for young people in our community to kind of participate and what's important. So that's kind of what were our kind of higher level goals, and I'm really excited to have Groundworks here to talk through your experience with us. I have your slides ready. Would you like to pull them up?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Will you all present to us?
Okay, just give me 1 second. I'm just gonna share my screen again. Okay, I think for anyone joining remotely, let me know if you can't see, but I think that should work right now. Wonderful. Okay, and just cue me whenever you're ready to change slides.
Okay. Hi, my name is Lisa. I've been with the Green Team since spring of 2024, and today we're gonna talk about the Green Team's collaboration with the Mobility Division. Go. To the next.
Oh, maybe a slight delay. Sorry about that.
Okay. So the first workshop we did, we talked about Vision Zero, which I think was something important to touch on because a lot of people see all the construction going on and are annoyed by the inconvenience, but it is important to note that the ultimate goal is for safety for people and less deaths, I guess. Some of our reflections were that it was interesting learning about government planning and infrastructure for the first time, and we enjoyed meeting creative and insightful staff. We also appreciated the new ways that the Mobility Division were finding to connect with youth, because I think it's often hard to connect with youth these days because they feel discouraged or don't know how to speak up or don't think they can. So overall, we felt this experience was empowering. You can. Oh.
It's just slightly delayed.
And then also part of the first workshop, we did an activity where we created a physical depiction of our ideal or our first mobility memories. And then we created our dream roads in small groups with all the accessibility and safety features we wanted. Some of our reflections were that it was a fun, creative, and interactive process, and we enjoyed that we got to think outside the box, and it was many people's first time thinking about street design on this deeper level, so it was interesting to see how people's desires came out through their designs and their creativity. Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Yaya. I worked with Green Team since early this spring. So we walked along the redesigned Washington Street around Artesiano, if you guys know that area around the school. We had completed a scavenger hunt to find and learn about new safety features. Our reflections were that we enjoyed exploring the street outside and learning by stopping and talking about each feature on the street. We have gained a lot of information, really enjoyed meeting all the people behind this initiative. Street design is so much harder than it looks, and it takes a long period of time with many people involved. And I agree with that a lot. I added that too because I noticing how much people it takes to do all this work and like how long it actually takes behind the designs and stuff, it means like a lot for me at least, because I, like I said, I've just walked in with all this new information and it's like really eye-opening for me. We appreciated them asking for our input on the redesign and liked how the features added were not just for drivers but for considering the safety and ease of those using all different of transportation. Our favorite features with the blue paint and the bike lanes at accessible parking spots to notify cyclists to take extra caution, and traffic lights that sense when emergency vehicles are coming and stop other traffic so emergency vehicles can go through fast and safety. The flexi pave in the around the tree rows, so the tree roots are less likely to break up the streets and cause trip and fall. Oh, sorry. We also did a walk audit at Broadway and Trump Field. We had split up into two groups and we explored different parts of the street, observed what could or needed to be fixed for safety and ease of the different transportation methods. Our reflections were enjoyed exploring Broadway with our new mobility knowledge and thinking about what could be improved. Good to witness in person how people were using the street and intersections to inform street updates. We witnessed a lot of speeding, explored options to reduce speeding, and such as like raised crosswalks, bumps out, and change the curb radius, and prioritize people with disabilities to make sure the city is safe and accessible with them. Oh, sorry. We collected air quality and heat index data to inform our street designs where the city could install green infrastructure, trees, pollinator gardens, to improve the air quality and lower the heat for residents in the summer. Heat index increased as you cross the street and around side street, main street intersections next to the gas station, like around pretty much over here, I'm pretty sure. And stations with large paved entrances and exits. Air quality remained good throughout with only a few yellow measures. Yellow measures are neither bad, but they're not good as well. Yellow measures taken near idling cars when crossing the street and on Broadway Hill near Portage Ave. Prioritize these locations to install green infrastructure and reduce impervious surface. Dark pavement that holds heat and doesn't drain water.
Okay, for our final workshop, we redesigned Broadway, so we were focusing on like learning about street design and about the different features on Broadway already. But then at this point, we discussed different transportation features and with professionals and learn the limits for making different improvements. And we presented our plans to city transportation planners. We thought it was a very interesting experience to redesign or attempt to redesign such a large and busy street because it had so many factors, and which meant there were a lot of solutions but also a lot of issues to deal with. Our groups tended to prioritize only one section of the road because there was just so much to look at, and like Yaya said, we gained a lot of admiration for the mobility division because they have to consider so many factors. And even when I was doing it in this like little section, I was getting like stressed out trying to make sure everyone was happy. So yeah, it's admirable that they are inclusive for all. Some more reflections were that we enjoyed that and appreciated that the transportation planners were eager to engage with us and they cared about our voices. And again, we felt empowered by this experience because they treated us as equals instead of like coworkers, which was like a nice experience because they cared. Yeah. Through this experience, some of our priorities the Somerville Green Team that we took away were for walking people or pedestrians, so crosswalk infrastructure such as rear crossing lights and countdowns and signage, and improvements with sidewalks, so like improving or repairing cracks to avoid safety hazards. And we also like to prioritize bikes because it's a great method of transportation for both like health and happiness and convenience. So it's nice to make that a more safe option for people. So we like to look at like more protected bike lanes. And then the same goes for like public transportation. So buses, we would love to see more greenery at bus stops and shade in general, which trees can provide both of that, but also like, just constructed shading too and floating bus stops to make the buses more efficient. And then for cars, like thinking back to the Vision Zero thing, we want to slow traffic to decrease fatalities for people biking, and people driving. And some of our general priorities are accessibility. So more tactile or improved tactile warning pads. I know we have a lot of those, but like repairing the ones that are worn down or adding them where they're not is just one thing. And then blue paint and accessible parking spots and crosswalk auditory signals, just different things to accommodate people with physical disabilities. And also we would love to see more trees and greenery. They provide shade, they can beautify spaces, and they're good for air quality. Of course, you have to think about the uprooted cement too, so I liked the idea of FlexiPave as well. I actually saw this solution done on School Street. There was a lot of construction. I can admit that I was one of the people who was annoyed by all the construction, but
a lot of people were School Street.
but I actually really liked how it turned out. The street ended up being narrower for the cars, and I liked the bump outs. So the walking space was like on the outside, and then the tree was on the inside, and then there was like FlexiPave near the tree, so like more pervious surfaces, and then shade, and then the appearance of like more space for pedestrians too. So yeah, I liked that, and yeah.
What's next for the Green Team? We want to continue to conduct detailed walk audits to identify specific areas where Somerville infrastructure could be improved. Transfer our hyperlocal climate data into solutions that can improve heat, air quality, noise, and other environmental issues. Propose improvements to city officials to install the solutions and change the policies that will directly enhance the quality of life for all Somerville residents. Any questions?
So awesome. Also, your slides are so cute. I've never seen cuter slides in my life.
Thank you.
I would love to start off with a question and then encourage others to jump in. But I'm curious, you talked about like a bunch of the stuff that you learned in this process, which is amazing. But I'm curious, do you have a big takeaway? Do you see the streets differently now when you walk around them? And do you look out for different things? Or how has your experience walking around the city changed since doing this?
Yeah, I just look around to be surprised that I could also be helpful with this. And looking at the redesign Washington Street around Artigiano, that was such a big wow because I grew up around there. Like I used to go to school there, always taken that way, and the way looks so much safer now, so much better. Like the details they put are details that everybody in the community wanted, and I'm so happy they actually did.
I agree. Like a lot of the things we learned about were things that I never really like thought about before. Like I was like, oh, this is an inconvenience, but I couldn't really like put my finger on it. So it was cool to like give a name to it and like also be able to like contribute to that change. Because like these days, like I'll like be like, oh, that's a desire path that we talked about, and it's there now. So it's interesting.
Other questions?
What did you guys learn that most surprised you, that you hadn't really thought of beforehand? Or came out of left field that you weren't really expecting?
I don't know if this is like a great answer, but I think when you join like a group like the Green Team, you think like you have to like be green everything, but it was an interesting takeaway to like also take into account car convenience, because it's truly like even when you are prioritizing like environmental factors and health factors and like convenience for walkers and all that stuff, like you also have to take into account drivers, even if, because it's like not realistic to only look at walkers. But it was nice to see like people doing the best that they could, I guess.
Wait, do you mind repeating the question one more time?
Oh, just what surprised you the most out of the whole process?
Oh, what surprised me the most? I say just like them taking everything, just everything into consideration, like bike lanes, like it takes a lot. Like I feel like people should just consider one thing, but for them to take so much on and to consider everything for like the whole Somerville residents means like a lot. And it's a lot. More questions?
I'm curious how you guys think you're gonna stay involved with, or if you want to stay involved with mobility issues in the city, and if so, how?
Honestly, any more workshops.
Yeah.
For me, any more workshops. And I feel like Kenzie, like she lets us know if there's anything really going on with the green team, and I like that means a lot, because I sign up for anything, like anything that comes to like with this, I will say yes, because at least I know I'm doing something for the community, and it feels like it's a good feeling for me, honestly. I love working like this.
I'm leaving for my first year of college in a couple of days, but so I'll see what kind of options they have there, but I will possibly come back as like a green team leader later, so maybe I'll get involved again in that way.
Do you find yourselves talking with like friends and family about mobility stuff now that you've gotten these experiences?
Yes, I talk to my mom my family in general all the time. Like when they say something about this, I'm like, oh, matter of fact, this is what, like, I always bring it up. Any situation I can bring it up, I'm gonna bring it up for sure.
And now you know who to get in contact with to share that feedback.
I definitely feel like every different way we can get to explain to people when they see a road ripped up or see the construction, to explain what it is. You know, my wife was on one of some real Redditor things recently about, why isn't the city cutting these weeds in this ugly ditch? It's like, well, that's a bioswale. Here's a page. And the person ended up being like, oh, I just thought it was just a hole they're gonna. So, it's like, it is, but it's a very important hole.
And that's what we're trying to do here with the green team is, find those locations that really meet the priority of the green infrastructure of the bioswales, of the pollinator gardens or added trees, and like that's why Yaya and Isa go around and take all this climate data in our historically redlined communities to find those important those locations that can really have opportunity for better mobility infrastructure or green infrastructure, and then we work with the city to try to install those with whatever small bits of money or partnerships that we can create together.
Yeah, I know we're wrapping up, I just wanted to add one thing, like, you know, we talked a lot about what you all learned, but we learned as staff so much of this experience too. Like, I think just getting to sit and talk about like, oh, this issue, or I remember we were walking Broadway and just being like, the kind of moment we're all looking at the driveways of the gas stations and just being like, why are we, you know, but I think it's nice as practitioners to kind of, you want to be able to bounce those ideas off. I think we never quite, we have experience and skills in this, but I think we're always learning. So getting to talk through ideas. I think we even talked about like preferences for raised bike lanes versus street level. What are the pros and cons? And so the back and forth is tremendous, as well as we have not incorporated a lot of air quality and heat data in our work. We're hyper focused on safety, but I think getting to have those conversations, that's a huge add to just like us thinking about the street. And I think it was Louise, we were standing at Broadway and Winchester, and we saw the 10-degree difference of between 20 feet. One where we're standing under a tree, one closer to the edge. So it's really fun to just be able to exchange back and forth when we're out doing these walks or workshops.
And then the cool spaces are safe spaces, you know, like they're kind of are really within the same pathway of safety for your residents, to have cool spaces to wait for the bus stop, to walk along, to, you know, ride. They're like so similar, same with air quality for those like our residents that have asthma or other respiratory conditions.
And from the perspective of Vision Zero, those 10 degrees or that air difference can be recalculated into lives lost.
Truly.
Yeah, and on a public health, I think you guys were mentioning, Kenzie, too, like when we were standing at the bus shelter right by the 7-Eleven, it's actually not very shaded, even though it's a structure. It's hotter to stand in it, and just so then you're less likely to want to be in there because you're gonna be more like kind of, I guess, more hot. Yeah, also if you stepped closer, there was a massive divot in the pavement with water, so then you get splashed. We got lucky that we got to go on a day after it rained, so you could see where it was water pooling, and so even where like typically you would have a shelter, it's not actually providing the benefits that you want to see. So what can we do that really provides that shade or feeling of safety?
Cool. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Well, that was great. And I think that brings us to the end of our meeting. Quick meeting tonight, unless anybody else has things to share, reflections to contribute. Yes, Ross? Yes. Oh my God, we didn't approve the minutes. Good Lord. Okay, anybody want to talk about the July minutes? Okay, I motion to approve them. Do I have a second?
Second.
Great. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Audio now unmuted. You are viewing Mobility Division. Mobility Division has started screen.
Fantastic. Thank you for the reminder, Kristen.
I wasn't sure they said.
Nope, that was just my mistake. All right, fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you to our green team members. Really, really useful for you guys. And we'll see you in September for our next meeting. Thanks, everybody online.